These are issues that are emblematic of people, especially people in our business. So obsessive compulsiveness. Obsessive compulsiveness could be viewed as attention to detail, for example. That you think about things a lot more, you obsess about them, and then the compulsion is that you undertake certain activities to address the obsessions that you have. One of the things I like to look at in life is adages. And if you look at the saying that ignorance is bliss, the reverse of that is that the smarter you are, the more educated you are, the more anxious you become, because the more you know, the more things that you know to worry about. Obsessive compulsiveness is intertwined with anxiety. I go a little bit further. I also have Tourette's, which is associated with the same part of the brain, the basal ganglia. And in terms of these mental health issues, certainly they can have their challenges, but they also have their advantages as well. So when I look at my career and my career development, having obsessiveness fits very well with being in research, because to be in research you have to have a very strong attention to detail. Also, being in the capital markets in general, you also have to have a very strong attention to detail. But one thing that you have to worry about, and I have obsessive compulsive tendencies, not a disorder, because if you had a disorder, your life would be a lot more problematic. You would have difficulties engaging in society, depending on what your obsessions and your compulsions were. But just having these tendencies, and I think it's good to be cognizant of them so that you can control them a little bit more. I see a lot of people perhaps excessively using hand sanitizer when you don't really need hand sanitizer. Society got along for hundreds of thousands of years without hand sanitizer, and that you have to look at things objectively and determine whether or not the things that you're thinking about or focusing on are logical and proper, or whether perhaps you're going a little bit too far. And that's always the fine line with obsessive compulsiveness is the things that you're doing, are they positively contributing to your life, or are they adversely contributing to your life? So it's about becoming cognizant of the effect that it's having on your life. Another thing that people in our business, capital markets, tend to have is what's called maladaptive perfectionism. And perfectionism, to a certain extent, is also something that can be favorable, because that, again, ties in with attention to detail, and you always want to be right, you always want to be correct, fits in with a type A personality where you're very competitive, you always want to be right. But where it becomes maladaptive is, say, for example, you're writing a paper for school, and you want that paper to be so perfect, and it just doesn't get perfect enough for you, so you don't hand it in. Meanwhile, it was probably a good paper, and maybe you got 80, 90, whatever on it, but you just felt that it wasn't perfect enough for you, that you couldn't move on. Another manifestation is, especially from a managerial perspective, if you're always harping on your employees to do a better job, it's not good enough, that induces anxiety onto people. It's also can be a problem in parenting as well, if you're always on top of your kids. No, you have to do it better, you have to be perfect, you got one wrong. There has to be a margin of error that exists in life, because everybody makes mistakes, and you have to be comfortable that you do make mistakes and you can learn from those mistakes. It's part of being a human being, and so you just have to go a little bit easier on yourself. And that's one of the messages that I have when I give discussions on mental health issues, is that I was on a panel a while ago, and one of the people remarked that most people wouldn't treat other individuals as bad as they treat themselves. And so one of the messages that I like to always give is cut yourself a little bit of slack. Treat yourself a little bit more tenderly than you do, and don't always harp on your mistakes. Be cognizant of them and look to improve, but recognize that you can't always be perfect.